Wakey wakey, eggs and bakey. I like to start my mornings off with a little puzzle. A little bit of a trapezoid. Start myself off in the middle of that. And find myself out of it. You see, recently, I've been working with the two dimensions. Imagine that trapezoid shape with a dot in the middle of it on a piece of paper. What I've been doing now, my new thing, kill the game entirely. Oh yeah. Open up one of the sides of the polygon. Easy. My particular methodology, break the laws of physics to that trapezoid entirely. Bust a wormhole through it. Add in the dimension of depth. All of a sudden, they have no grasp of where you were. Which is unfortunate, because that's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take something ridiculous, I can't teach that bitch my language like Rosetta Stone. Hey. Yeah. I can't teach that bitch my language like Rosetta Stone. Yeah. I was on my phone this morning. Or my phone was with me, rather. I wasn't even looking at it. But it was making noise. It was spitting out vibrations into the atmosphere. Into the soundmosphere, the audioscape, my environment. It was music. And there's something a little ominous about everything. Especially if you're someone like me, who is sensitive to things, and they might not even know the origins of what they're feeling, and it may just be like a really strange, vague, one-off feeling that you feel like it doesn't have any validation whatsoever, but you still feel it regardless. And something will feed into your system like a kind of feedback loop, like, is this even worth it? Is this even, like... You almost want to, like, badmouth your initial sort of feeling about something. So it's just, like, it's a cascading slurry and onslaught of negative feelings about the first bad feeling. And it's like, where did that come from? I don't know. Why do you always believe in these bad feelings, even though they're based on practically nothing? How come you let the world get you sad, even though it makes no sense as to why? You see, I cut all these ancillary and tertiary, intermediate level feelings off right at the start. Like in elementary school, if a teacher ever witnessed one of the kids getting bullied, they say, shh, everyone, shut up, move out, move away, let me handle this. So, I'll be listening, I was listening to my favorite artists, musicians and whatnot, interviews and all this from revered artists, people who create things, and, world builders, innovators, visionaries. And what I came to notice is that, even though I admire these people, and these are people like my peers, people that I look up to, or I look to, for sort of guidance, because of how they behave. I admire the ways that they behave, and so it's like, even if I'm doing nothing right now, I want to have, I can passively be able to learn something. There's definitely the sort of fictitious nature of cell phones and desire in general that let us sort of justify wasting our time with them. We think that we're getting something good out of the use of cell phones at all times. I was listening to music, favorite artist, and unconsciously to me, it's like there's two things happening. One, the first of which is I'm listening to some of the greatest music ever recorded, mixed, and mastered. That much is true. The next thing that's true is that it's an artificial feeling being injected into me. Regardless of how potent or how authentic, how genuine, how real the music is, if it's made from a genuine place, if it is made, under the light of honesty and, the scrutiny of truth, even if it was made with all of the most quality ingredients that you can possibly craft something with, it was still a feeling that was not my own of the moment. It was still somebody else's interpretation of some other event that was going on in their lifetime that they took, they captured the lightning in a bottle, and they turned it into a product and a service. They turned it into this multifaceted, metaphysical piece of data. And I'm there, and I'm just listening to it. And to me, it's like, it's sonics, it's vibrations, it's sound. And these are things that they're penetrating deeper than just through my ears. They're reacting with all the sorts of cells in my bodies. They say one thing, I have no other option than to sort of follow them along on the journey of their thought processes. I say cross, you say Jesus Christ. I say cross, you think angry. I say cross, you say hot buns. Lullaby jingle. It's pairings. It's things that it's the domino effect of the way that our minds will work. Our minds are associative. Somebody is talking about one thing, we think of a whole resume of various summary points and bullet points and reference points that we will just automatically, autonomously attach in our lives. Oh, they're talking about heartbreak, love, and sadness. Ah, yes. I remember what that feels like. I remember that happening in my life. The sort of ominous, heinous, low-key, dark thing about the life is that, if you truly want to have any sort of control over your life, your emotions, the thing, the way that you feel about life and your sort of position within it, you have to get rid of all of these things in your life that are ancillary, that are extra to all that you're trying to do. Less is more, okay? You may think to yourself, oh my God, it's just a song on Spotify, dude. Chill out. Okay. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Take what I say with a grain of salt or not at all. This is me personally. I'm sharing my personal anecdote with you about this. Because I can't have, dude, my life is constantly trying to find the sort of draft pocket in the wind. This is only important to people that give a shit about anything, okay? Really, okay? If it's like, if someone is a beginner, a bodybuilder, weightlifter, person that's striking up a life in exercise, they don't need to know about macronutrients. They don't need to know about protein synthesis. Should I take the protein after my workout or during? Should I do it before? What about hydration? What should my levels be? What about creatine? I heard it's like, when you're at that beginning stage, shut up and just do the main stuff, okay? The main stuff will get you far enough. It'll get you 80% of the way there. Lift weights. You can do it heavy for a little bit of time, or you can do light for a lot of bit of time, Just participate. and eat protein, and you'll be okay. Get enough sleep, you'll be all right, okay? You'll start seeing progress eventually. But eventually, you're going to hit a plateau, or you're going to want to dial in even, you know? You're no longer just a layman, you know? You're dedicated to something. And so my life is at this point where I'm breaking through my own plateaus. And so all these points where I run into habitual behavior are it's data to me. It's under the same premise. No information is information itself. Hey, how are you? Crickets, 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 crickets. That tells you a story in itself. You don't necessarily need to know with precision. You know, it just kind of puts you into the ballpark of things. And so my life is anytime I fall into, it's not even a falling, it's coming into a sort of recognition of my own patterns. I like the examined life. Okay? And so what I've noticed in the examined life is there are things that have sticky or lotion-like residue that they leave on my fingers. And sometimes there are things that I thought I liked. You know, meanwhile, I didn't even see them as distractions before. I saw them as, you know, things that I liked, things that I enjoyed, things that were good for me. It's good to participate in the culture of music. Are you stupid? You're starting to think of music as a bad thing? No, not necessarily. It's not that I'm seeing music as a bad thing, but now I'm seeing the yin and yang to all things. Music to me before was this thing that had no bad in it. It was all good and only good. The only thing that existed was good music that I would love to listen to, that was meaningful, impactful, or told a story. It was vivid, it was beautiful. And then there was just trash music. There was bad music that was like, ew, what the fuck is this? Sounds horrible. Who would listen to this shit? It sucks. Right? And now it's not even that. It's like I can listen to some shitty music and just enjoy it for the sonics, the vibe of it, even if the subject matter is atrocious. And the negative goes for the good music. Listening to something beautiful and just the storytelling off the hizzy, just off the chain, you know, for shizzle my nizzle. Just the craziest, most beautiful, elaborate storytelling about just the intimate nature of the aspects of man. You know, I could see the bad in that now. And what it is for me, is that even though it's beautiful, it takes me out of the present moment, and it's like a flashbang from a video game. It's like a concussion grenade from a Modern Warfare game. It takes me out of the present moment, and it numbs my own sensations of my own personal life. All of a sudden, you know, as opposed to seeing the world from my own particular tinted lenses of the moment, now it's artificially, I'm looking through an artificially projected image of somebody else's viewpoint on love or heartbreak, or, you know, what it is to be a man, what it is to hustle, what it is to be braggadocious and to feel like they're the one, the man, you know, or any plot point at which people create things from in the first place. It's beautiful and all of these sorts of things. And sometimes it's great to just get lost in that. And to just sort of randomize, you know, let God remix, all right? Let God DJ. Fuck it. I won't put anything in the queue. Just let God DJ it. I don't care. You know, I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going anyway. Just fuck it, dude. Let God lead you that shit. I'll go on a story however he wants it to be. You know? You know, what's my rush about it? And so I'm talking about something that not many people even think about. But here's what it was. Specifically, I was listening to 2 of my top 3 artists of all time. I love the people. I love the things that these people create. I love the ways that they create their things. I like their methodology and the sort of, you know, the integrity and all of the sort of restrictions at which they create anything by. You know, their value system, their morals, their ethics, their personal sort of, you know, backing belief, you know, their own backbone of what it is to be a person, how they choose to project their, you know, their beliefs or just these concepts and ideas, thought forms out into the universe. You know, I cherish these specific creators, and at times they were definitely a lifeline to me. Their particular viewpoints on the world was like, it made me feel less alone. It made me feel understood, like there is somebody out there who feels the way that I feel, that I'm not the only person who feels things at such a level, that I'm not the only person with these particular peculiarities and sensitivities to things that are very nuanced and subtle and oftentimes overlooked, never spoken about, and you never hear it anywhere. Rare, obscure tidbits of nonsensical information. It just took a moment of recognition. You know, I noticed in the moment of things, I was feeling melancholy. I was feeling a kind of sadness. And it was a kind of melancholy. It was a kind of sadness that wasn't even my own. It was like a sadness that was brought about. And this clashed directly with the most useful piece of knowledge that I've gotten to understand recently. That I've got to play with recently, and it has given me the illusion of understanding it. Oftentimes there's a progression system to knowing and understanding anything. And that's in the beginning. You sort of see it work in other people, and so you think that there's something there. Next on that list is you start messing with it, and you're a novice with it. You don't really have the sort of muscle memory or the sort of dexterity behind anything, so you can't create it with stability, and you could see you have ways to learn. It's like being 2 weeks in on Duolingo. Maybe you know how to say, you know, yo soy cansado. Todo. You know? I am tired. But you still recognize there's a shitload you don't know. Then there comes a point where you actually feel like you know enough to get by conversationally, or that, you know, you just have a sort of naive confidence about you. Then there comes the point where you see that there is you know, it takes 5 days to get 80% of the way there, and then it takes a year to get 92% of the way there, and then it takes a lifetime to get yourself from 92 to 99.99. And that's sort of how things are. The progression is very top-heavy in that way. So I'm sitting here, I'm in the middle of the trapezoid that I've set myself into, because I like a good puzzle for the day. I like to set myself, it's like jujitsu, okay? I don't want to just be in the dominant position and stay there, you know? Part of the fun for me is, can I come back from a deficit? Can I work from a place that is not of my advantage? And can I make something of it? You know, what can I do from a place of vulnerability, a place of, you know, impending soul-puncturing damage is coming my way if I'm not, you know, sufficient in some manner. And so, here it is. There is something alluring about beautiful things. When people make beautiful creations, a piece of music, a video, a voice recording, you know, all of these things, they drain you, they disempower you, and you don't even realize it. Look, okay, for example, and this is true of all things. You see, if you go to therapy, the guiding principle of therapy is that hopefully you get a therapist who is wise enough and experienced enough to notice what you are getting hung up upon. The goal of therapy from that point is to try. The therapist is to make an effort to sort of package up this piece of information and give it to you in the form of a seed. And hopefully, one day, this seed germinates, it blossoms, it grows, and now it is a fruiting seed body in your garden. You know, the essence of that seed, it's the point at the issue of your things. You see, the point of therapy isn't to constantly beat around the bush. It's not to water around the weeds. It's not to walk in the garden and say, "Wow, look, there's a lot of weeds here." Huh? You know, the point of it, as I imagine it to be, is to... It's not to just, you know, have a Vanity Fair about all your problems, and then to just keep going around the merry-go-round about those problems indefinitely, to walk through the revolving door and never getting off. It's getting onto the elevator and just taking the ride and never getting off on your stop. That's not the point of getting in the elevator. Unless you were a contrarian, unless you were a mime, unless you were a sort of rage-baiting artist, unless your whole point of anything was to be an absurdist, which was to do things in a sort of arbitrary way to bring about awareness within a community, within a society, to, you know, to highlight the ways of thinking that people think. You know, if you get onto the elevator and you just never get off, and so it just so happens that for the next 72 hours, every time I get on the elevator, you're in there too. It makes me question. It makes me think, right? Huh, this dude never got off the elevator. Huh, wow. You know, it might make me question. It might make me inquire and ponder. Hey, dude, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you still on the elevator? You know, I might get roped into a sort of like questioning of life. He's got the answer to life. Yeah, dude, it was basically, you know, I had nowhere to go. So I thought, you know, might as well just stay here for a while. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let it be, let it be. This isn't where I want to take the conversation. What I'm trying to say is there is a revolving door to anything, even things that you enjoy. I noticed in that moment of things, my own sort of love, my own sort of devotion and adoration to the succulent richness of melancholy, of sadness. Sadness isn't always like this thing that people want to push away from. Like a lot of people, sadness is like fetishes for people. They like it, but they're not outwardly, not a lot of people are outwardly sort of, I love sadness. A lot of people attach embarrassment or shame or guilt to them feeling sadness. They don't attach joy. They don't attach love to sadness. To me, sadness is like a color on a wet palette. And according to my frame of mind, it can be something that I got a little too much of, or it's literally the thing that makes the most beautiful composition ever. But in that moment, listening to the music, I recognized my attachment to the melancholy, the attachment to the sadness, that I almost felt like an addiction, right? Like, there's some people that can't put the bottle down. It was like, I was in this sort of state where I couldn't put a pause on the music. I was like, let me finish the song, let me finish the cue, let me get to the, and then maybe I'll turn it off, and then... I've been really operating on the principle of just expand outwards. There's nothing more to it than that. Like, there's not any place that you have to necessarily come out from. It's not like a house that just has one door. Like, in effect, we're just ghosts, dude. We can phase through objects. We can phase through different things. Pop up on the other side of the wherever all the time. And so what I'm trying to say is that in letting go of that very specific reality of being attached to the music, being attached to the ideas, the concepts, the beauty of it, the ideas they spoke upon, the concepts in which everything, it was a whole world that was built, and it was beautiful, and it felt like I was a part of something, and I was with somebody who was experiencing something that deeply, a sensitive person who had the ability to express themselves in a way that, made me feel all these ways. It was beautiful. There's no doubt about it. But the quintessential essence of the universe is that, what I am to do is to expand outward. It's not to be caught up on the clothesline and to feel the breeze. And the thing is that if I were to live that life, to sort of take on and personify the existence of what it is to be a article of clothing drying off in an open meadow upon a clothesline of white linens, however it feels to be, such an object with such a predicament, such a circumstance. It's like, of course there's sadness in that. I'm of the nature that I think of the sadness to all things. I can be in the middle of a beautiful moment, such as flapping in the breeze, drying off as a piece of article of clothing. In that instance, I just think of, dude, this is such a beautiful thing. It's going to end one day. I think of the temporal finality of all things. And that only ever comes when I associate, when I zoom in and I attach to whatever sort of idea of beauty that I am in that moment of things. But my thing is to relieve the world of suffering, and that includes myself. And that means untangling myself from the various things that will ensnare me and captivate me, and some of them are like They're like mermaids. Sirens. They're like sirens. It's like the most beautiful thing ever. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's like, of course I'll walk right into that thing. It's so beautiful. I'll be eaten. I don't care. They're so gorgeous. Why not? That's why I say it's sinister. It's alluring. It's ominous. Because it's something that exists in time. The nature of us as human beings is to live in time, to be bound by the concepts of time, is to suffer, is to be right up against that suffering to the point where there is no separation between the suffering and us. Anything that binds you at all will bring about pain. You know, the point of this tidbit of knowledge isn't to say that, yes, that means that, okay, anytime I'm bound by something, I'll just abort that and no more pain. This is good. It's like, not necessarily. I mean, sometimes the pain is a good sort of offset for you. It's a good counterbalance. It's a good weight for you to be holding. Other times, it's just baggage that's holding your agility down, giving you brain fog. You know, for whatever reason, I don't think I've really nailed this one down at all. So I think I'm gonna give it at least one more pass. Give me a moment as I take a swig of water. Yes. Here's what it was. Here's definitely a significant part of the essence of the whole thing. As I was being absorbed into the world of all these various creatives, living in the beautiful works of art within the worlds that they had built or that they had lived in and painted, I was only being receptive to the world they were putting out. I was only listening. You know, it wasn't necessarily an interactive kind of artistic experience for me. It wasn't the sort of experience that I can, like, customize in any way. You know, it was very much a look and don't touch kind of museum. All of the worlds, really, they all kind of come with a, this is how it is, you know, batteries not included type beat, you know. If this product is only for 3-year-olds and older, you know, hazards included, you know, these are choking hazards, you know, so all the sort of like explicits so they can't be sued or reprimanded and all this and that, you know. Meanwhile, I'm a handshake verbal agreement kind of guy. I'm a, you know, your word is your bond type of guy. You know, I'm a guy that says, okay, well, if I say it, then I'm gonna do it. And if I ever feel just no longer up to it, I'll let you know. I'm not gonna keep you in the dark on that. You know, this is the kind of person that I happen to be sometimes. And what that means is, you know, I like to get my hands involved in whatever it is. I like to participate too. Anytime somebody is like talking about the world, I recognize that is an aspect of the truth, but that, my role in this is to recognize that everybody has one little Lego piece to involve in the conversation of that, and that just because you have the loudest voice doesn't mean that you have all there is to say on it. We could be looking at the same huge-ass structure. I'm just looking at it from the other side, the dark side of the moon that you only ever get glimpses of, that you've only ever seen from a picture that someone else showed you. And so, at first I was unconscious about it. I was just listening to music. I was just listening to these fucking, the worlds of the various people that I admire, or I look up to, or that I look to, or that I'm interested in, or I found them, magnetized in some kind of way, attracted to, the ways that they see the world or whatever. And then, just this sort of allure, just unconscious allure, and then I break into a tidbit of knowledge. My own feelings, my actual feelings kind of bubble. They simmer. They come to a boil. They start bubbling and poking up, and I smell that something is cooking. Something's in the air. Something's in the air tonight. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? And then from that point, it's my job to really pinpoint where that sort of signal is coming from, and what is it? Is it something that I need to tend to now, or is it something? It's nothing. It's just my mind playing tricks on me. And no, I got to realize that in that moment of things, what I said there was that because I was so caught up in listening and absorbing and soaking in the perspectives and the world building and all the sort of ways that people were describing the world, even though it was beautiful, I recognized that I was only in a state where my energy was focused on absorption. And the thing that brings me life, the thing that is my Wants Ponce de Leon, fountain of youth, is my ability to move forward and move on. Okay, it's to reach escape velocity, is to reach some kind of velocity with my energy, with my pattern of speech, with my ideas. I'm moving at a certain speed. If I'm moving at a certain speed, but I'm caught within the tempo of a sad song, I'm gonna be caught in this thing, and I'm crashing and burning. My rudders are stuck, dude. I have no way of maneuvering. But when that world shuts off and my world can now open up unrestricted, my own sort of thought process has an avenue at which to move forward. There's not a dam building up with me, and now things can flow properly. Yes. Okay? It doesn't matter what emotion I'm feeling. It has the leeway, it has the space to crash. It has the space to surge. It has the space to move and acquiesce and, go to and fro, and just this spaciousness to move about in a free way, to be unbound, to simply take the shape of the container it's poured into, that it's moving across. And so in conclusion, my purpose as of now, just, your purpose is sort of like, is always sort of ever changing, right? It changes in intensities. Sometimes it's silly, it's humorous, and it's small. Hey, what's your purpose? Just to go pee. Yeah, I recognize that in the heat of the moment, I was desiring so much to just stay where I was at, that I was unconsciously bringing about suffering to myself because I was denying myself the ability to go to the bathroom. And so I said, I'll endure this. And And it's like, it's strange how humorous, how the smallest of things can be like, you know, the biggest of hang-ups in your mind. But truly it is kind of like that. You know, if you ever get like a little pebble, a little sharp thing in your shoe, it's like, yeah, that's pretty small, but every step you take, you can't help but think about that. And so, yes, I mean, your purpose will change. Sometimes it's huge, sometimes it's like otherworldly, and then sometimes it's really simple, really, really niche. And so, you know, my current one is just simply expand outwards. You know, let what will be, you know, let what will be. And, I mean, you don't really have any part, you don't have any responsibility, you don't have any sort of participation in how it is made or how it comes about. All you have to think about is just getting the fuck out the way, okay? You've got LeBron James and Steph Curry on your team. You've got Kevin Durant and Dwight Howard on your team, bro. You've got all the greats on your team. You've got Antetokounmpo on your team too, and you've got all these amazing teammates. Basically, your skills don't amount to anything, and it basically just get the fuck out the way and do what you can do to be a good point guard. Get the ball in the hands of these people and start making plays happen. Okay, get the fuck out the way. That's my job. Get the fuck out of the way of whatever it is that needs to come through. All right, so that's the essence of the message. There's no other way that I can put it without busting down a dead horse here. And no one wants to see that, except some real ridiculous people out there. And so on that note, thank you everybody for participating in this. Thank you for listening. I hope this was able to help you in the heat of moment of things. And also, again, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because just because something is working for me, and this is my particular answer that I have come to in this moment of things, don't think of my answer as the one true answer for answer 27. You know, we've all got different scantrons. And so if you look to mine to see what the fuck I bubbled in, and maybe you even can appreciate the way that I think and the way that I express myself, just because this is the answer for my 27 doesn't mean that that's yours. You know, you can try and take my answer, bubble it in, without even looking at the question, without even looking at the problem that you're on, and then just thinking that, yeah, oh, well, he put it, so fuck it, I'll put it too. Yeah, I'm just saying. Just saying. Everyone's got their own ratio. And so this was just me sharing mine to you and for you. And hopefully you found it useful or enlightening in some way, or helpful or nice to listen to, just to be a part of. And so if you were here just simply enjoying me talk about things, hey, I'm so glad you enjoyed. You know, I enjoyed myself as well, and I'm going to go enjoy myself doing other things now. So, thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Take care.